Oxford Bookworms, Stage 2. The Piano, by Rosemary Border. Read by Judy Bennett. Published and copyright Oxford University Press, 1997. Chapter 1. In the Dressing Room. Sir Anthony Evans plays Liszt. The words above the door of the theatre were a metre high. On the wall there was a big picture of Sir Anthony at the piano. Hundreds of people were waiting outside the ticket office. It was Sir Anthony's 80th birthday concert, and everybody wanted a ticket. I had a special ticket, because I was a newspaper reporter. I wanted to talk to the famous pianist before his concert. I showed my ticket to the doorman and went into the theatre. Then I walked upstairs to the dressing rooms. On my way upstairs, I thought about the famous pianist. I was a little afraid. My mouth was dry, and my hands were shaking. I arrived outside the dressing room. There was a big gold star. I knocked, and a tall man opened it. He was very old, but his eyes were blue and bright. He was wearing black trousers and a beautiful white shirt. He had a lot of straight, silvery hair. He looked just like his picture on the wall of the theatre. "My name's Sally Hill," I began. The old man saw my notebook and smiled at me. "Don't tell me. You're a reporter. Which newspaper do you work for?" "The Sunday Times, sir." "A very good newspaper. Come in and sit down. Ask your questions. We were young once, weren't we, Linda? But of course, that was a long time ago." He turned to a tall woman who was standing in the corner. She smiled at me with friendly brown eyes. "So this is Lady Evans," I thought. "What a nice face she has. She looks like a farmer's wife." I was not afraid any more. I sat down and opened my notebook. "Tell me about yourself, please, Sir Anthony. Did you come from a musical family? Did you start to learn the piano when you were 3, like Mozart?" The famous pianist smiled. "No, my dear. I am the first musician in my family. And I was 14 years old before I touched a piano for the first time." He saw the surprise on my face. "We have a little time before my concert. I'll tell you my story. It's a strange story, but every word of it is true. You see, I left school when I was 13. Everybody called me Tony in those days. I worked on a farm." It was an exciting story, and he told it well. At first, I tried to write everything down in my notebook. Then the pen fell from my hand, and I just listened. I was lost in Sir Anthony's wonderful story. He told me about an old school behind a high wall in a dirty street. There was broken glass on top of the wall. The schoolyard was very small. As he spoke, pictures came into my mind. I saw a little boy called Tony Evans playing football with an old tin. Chapter 2. A Poor Boy. The teacher's name was Mr. Gray. He was grey, like his name. He was old and grey and tired. Everything about him was grey. Grey suit, grey shirt, grey hair, and a long, thin, grey face. When he smiled, the children saw his long, grey teeth. But he did not often smile. Mr. Gray did not enjoy his job. He did not like children. "Why does he work here?" one of the children asked one day. "He doesn't like us." "But he likes the long school holidays," said Tony. The other children laughed. They thought that was a very clever answer. But Tony was not a clever boy. He was big and slow and silent. He did not enjoy his lessons. Usually, he just sat at his desk and waited quietly for 4 o'clock to come, when he could go home. But Tuesday mornings were different, because Tuesday was music day. Every Tuesday morning, an old lady called Mrs. Lark came to the school. Mrs. Lark played the piano, and the children sang. She was not a very good pianist, but she liked children, and she enjoyed her work. She knew a lot of songs, too. Every Tuesday, her fat little fingers flew like birds up and down the keys of the piano. The children sang like birds, too. Then 12 o'clock came. Mrs. Lark said goodbye and locked up the piano for another week. Tony did not often hear music. His family was poor, and poor people did not often hear music. There was no TV or radio in those days. There were concerts in the town, of course, but poor people did not go to concerts. Sometimes an Italian street musician came to town. He had a little piano on wheels, and a poor thin monkey which sat on top of it. The people came out of their houses to listen to his music. Then the monkey went round with a little tin cup. "Give us a penny," sang the musician. But when the monkey came back, the tin cup was always empty. The musician shook his head and pushed his little piano away. There were 6 children in the Evans family, and Tony was the oldest. They lived in a very small house at the end of a long grey street. The toilet was outside, in the yard. There was no bathroom. Everybody washed in the kitchen. On Saturday evenings, everybody in the family had a bath, one after another, in an old tin bath in front of the fire. It took all evening. Every Monday, Mrs. Evans washed all the family's clothes in the tin bath. But the Evans were clean, and they had enough to eat. Tony did not feel poor, because all his friends were poor too. In those days, poor children usually left school when they were 13. Most of Tony's friends found jobs in shops or factories in the town. Tony did not want to work in a shop or a factory, but he needed a job because his family needed the money. A few days after his 13th birthday, Tony left school too. He began to look for a job, but he was unlucky. The factory did not want him. The shops did not want him. Then his mother thought, what about farming? One hot summer afternoon, she decided to take her son to a farm outside the town. "I worked on Mr. Wood's farm when I was young," she told Tony. "Then I met your father, and we moved to the town. But I enjoyed farm work, and I think you'll like it too. I wrote to Mr. Wood last week and asked him to give you a job on the farm. That will be better than the factory."